Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Glad to be back with you all again. I'm here today to talk about the big news over this weekend, which was that the Elks are going to sign Grey Cup champion quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson to the roster, and it will accompany some other moves as well. Now, just looking at this from the standpoint of McLeod Bethel-Thompson, obviously he is a proven quarterback, veteran guy, kind of in the last stages of his career. But you look at the money he's going to be playing with this year, certainly a lot more than Trey Ford's getting, and barring something unforeseen like an injury, MBT will be the guy. On the one hand, you could look at this move from the pessimist's perspective and say that this is going to take away from Ford's development as a CFL quarterback. You can say that this is a desperation move by a front office just trying to save their jobs, etc., etc. You could look at it from the optimist perspective of he's a very accomplished guy, probably could lead this Elks team to the playoffs this season because team was only 2 games out despite being 4-14 last season. The bar is not high, at least not at the moment, anyway. Okay, realistically, I don't expect to see a 6-win team in the playoffs in 2024, but I digress. Anyhow, it was obvious at the end of last year that Ford needs more time, more development, needs to get quicker at reading defenses and making decisions because after those first 5-6 games where he was going off the last month of the year, teams were really clued in on what he was going to do, and they slowed him down considerably. So bringing in a guy like MBT could help him develop those traits, and then maybe in a year or two, Ford would be back ready to go, potentially among the CFL's best quarterbacks. That's the optimist's angle. Of course, the pessimists could come back and say time on the bench will not do Ford good, that he's better off just getting on the field, learning from experience. Maybe so, but also coaching staff needs to be better. They need to find ways to use more of Ford's abilities and not just count on him to be running around all the time to save his life. And I also hate to bring up the point of will it affect Ford's confidence to be on the bench? Hopefully not. But anyhow, I think honestly both sides are probably true. This is not an all positive signing, but at the same time, it could produce pretty good results in the short term. And hopefully, in the long run, it will pay off well that MBT will help Ford develop into what he can be. And then Ford becomes the next great quarterback of this team. That's what we're all hoping for. However, I've kind of become reluctant to believe that things will turn out in an ideal fashion anymore. Other moves that accompanied this signing were the release of Taylor Cornelius, which is not surprising, the release of Stephen Dunbar, who, with his contract being what it is, not surprising. Dunbar was not much of an impact player last year. Obviously, Geno Lewis is meant to be the #1 guy at receiver. Now it just makes me wonder, in free agency, are we going to go after some other big name rental, just like we rented Kenny Lawler for a year in 2022 at a 1 year rental of Dunbar? Is someone else just going to come in here, get a paycheck, and not produce that much? I sure hope not. But at this point in time, I am just not that confident in what this front office is going to do. It's what happens whenever your coach is your GM and he is stuck in the past. What can I say? I just have not a lot of optimism about 2024 at the moment. And even if this team kills it in free agency, I'll still probably come into the season skeptical. So those are my thoughts. I'm very much hoping that MBT can be a useful player for this team. But also, this offensive line has to be better in pass protection if MBT is going to be effective on this team next year. Because last year, they were a very good run blocking line, and it allowed Kevin Brown to run over 1,000 yards, allowed Ford to do a lot of things. But there's just not a lot that they could do in the passing game, and that's what teams ultimately figured out. So I imagine more money will be spent on the offensive line this coming spring, and yeah, hopefully it works, but I'll believe it when I see it.